One of the questions that I get asked a lot on the channel is, what is my logo design process? This is a question that I think we all ask at some points depending on our career choices. We always ask what other people's logo design processes are because it's just interesting to know. So this week I'm going to be showing you what my logo design process is from start to finish. The first thing that normally happens is that I get a client who emails me through my website, and I always reply back as soon as I find the email. So a lot of people will start off the email asking me what price and if I can actually design the logo for them, and they ask me to reply at the earliest time. And I go ahead and I reply, but when I'm replying, I always try to make sure that I'm fishing for more information. You see, when they ask for the price within the email, it all depends on what the actual client wants. So I never give them a fixed price until I understand exactly and fully what they want and whether I can actually give them what they are after. So normally I'll have to go ahead and work out what they want. So I'll ask them phishing emails. Now, if a business comes and asks you and they've got experience in hiring out designers or logo designers, they will go ahead and give you a mood board, but a lot of the time a lot of people won't, and it's so important to have a mood board because that means that we are able to get the general mood of a company, and we're also getting to see some images that they really like that we can correspond to our logo design in the finished piece. So if the client hasn't got any experience of hiring out a logo designer, I'll normally just go ahead and give them some information about myself, and I'll also get them to give me some images for a mood board and also to give me more information on the logo, and that helps me come up with a brief. So now at this point I'll decide whether I can work with this person. Now, a lot of the time people can get offended when designers don't work with them, and there's a few reasons why they won't. One reason is because they're too busy. The second reason is because they're probably not good at the style of logo that they're trying to create for you, or the style of logo that you want. From this point, I'll go ahead and initiate a contract sign and a down payment. The contract sign is just there so we both know, me and the client know, what the expectations are of this project. This is what they expect of you, and this is what they expect of me, and this is how much we're paying at this time, but blah, 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 blah. That's what the client and contract is there for. It's not there to scare or intimidate anyone. It's not there to be legalistic or to have any sort of legalese writing in there. And the down payment is there just so that we are both serious about this job. At this point now, if everything is successful with the contracts and stuff, this could be a couple of days later, depending on when people email back on what country they're in, I'll go ahead and do some research. The research part, a lot of people think is boring. They just want to get straight into designing the logo. But for me, the research part is quite fun. I get to spend time looking at their mood board. I get to write down loads of funky ideas and just do whatever I want to do. This is mainly on a computer in a book full of logos. I look at Instagram, I look at all these sorts of things, and I put them together into this one document full of ideas that I could do, and then I'll print that off for later on. From this point, I'll start off with my initial ideas. Now, a lot of people, when they do their initial ideas, want to just jump straight into Illustrator and create some shapes with the lasso tool. But for me and a lot of professional designers, they don't do this. The Illustrator part, yes, it is fun and it is easy to create shapes in there, but it's so limiting at the same time. The best practice is always to use pencil and paper. This means that we can get ideas from a head onto paper really quickly and easily. And you see, this point, we don't need to give anything to the client. This is just us brainstorming and doing initial ideas. This is what is a concepting stage to create a general structure and layout for our logo design. With logo design, a lot of people get confused and they think that logos are supposed to just look cool and that's about it. It should look cool and eye-catching. That's not the case. Some of the best logos in the world are the most simple, and I wouldn't class them as really flashy or cool, but they are effective and functional. Logo design isn't just for the aesthetics, it's about functionality, and that's what we are in. If you're a logo designer, you're not just about the look of the logo, but you're about how it actually comes across to the audience, so the functionality of that. Once I've done my initial ideas and concepts on paper, I'll go ahead into a dotted Moleskin. A dotted Moleskin is literally just a journal that has got really good paper. It's made by the company Moleskin and it's dotted, which means that I have straight dots all across the paper. When we're creating logo designs, it's not really drawing anymore, it's drafting, because we need to create something that looks sort of perfect and also something that measures out properly. And also having a dotted Moleskin or squared paper or graph paper will enable us to not have a ruler, so we have straight lines to work with. It helps us with measurements and keeping consistency, and that's what the idea of logo design is. It's measurements and consistency. Once I've gone ahead and concepted my logo in a dotted Moleskin and made a more of a finalized look, it won't look great yet, but it'll be more of a finalized look, I'll go ahead and put masking tape over a piece of tracing paper and go ahead with a bunch of microns, maybe a 0.3 or a 0.5, and I'll outline the logo design to make it really black. You don't have to do this, but I do this a lot of the time just because it keeps my rhythm of a process, and I do it a lot with my hand lettering, and especially if you're trying to create a textured look with your logo design, it makes it a bunch easier. From here, I'll take my tracing paper or just my dotted Moleskin into a scanner. I'll scan my paper into the computer, and what a scanner does is generally just takes a picture in very high quality picture, and it gives it the perfect lightness so we can actually image trace it in or trace above what it is. Scanners are fairly inexpensive, but you don't actually need one. I got one for my father, he bought me one. Because I kept on using his for my brush typography. But you can use your iPhone or just any sort of phone. The cameras are really good nowadays, and we can email it to ourselves, and it makes it a bunch easier. After I've scanned in my logo design, I'll go ahead and vectorize it. I'll do this in Adobe Illustrator, and I'll bring my picture in and trace over it, or create something entirely new depending on what I feel like. At this point, I should have a bunch of ideas in my head that I can really work with, and it really helps to have these ideas so we can maintain the speed of which we're working and the productivity time and the efficiency. But now that I'm in Illustrator, I'll go ahead and play around with the logo design. I'll do this in a non-destructive way, duplicating each variation of the logo. After this, I'll take that logo shape out of Illustrator and into Photoshop, and I'll go ahead and add texture to it, or I'll mock it up on different products. Mocking up your logo basically means putting that image onto another image. It's superimposing your logo design onto, let's say if it was a beer logo onto a bottle of beer, it's superimposing it on there so the client can get a very real life visual representation of what our logo is going to look like. It's so important to do this because a client can worry about whether the logo is going to look right, and it also makes the client less stressed, and it makes it an easier process for all. And us as logo designers want to do the best job we can when it comes to logo design and mocking up. But from here, I'll go ahead and say, a job's done, are we all good? And they'll take the logo design in whatever format I've given them it, and I won't give them a high quality image until the payment is final. And that is just because it's sort of like a product then, they pay first. So what you do is you send an invoice over an email or thrive.solo, and from there, they'll pay the invoice, and when you've done that, you can email them over the file transfer, and your jobs are good. So that is my logo design process. I hope it helped some of you guys, and as always, thank you so much for watching this video. See you next week.